What'd he do?
He bounced the ball off of Russ. Russ came in for a rebound.
It's kind of, it's hard to catch it. But
It's not hard to catch it.
Catch
he
what?
gets the rebound and he throws it off the guy's face.
No, I'm saying for the viewer, you got to really watch it close. There, from that angle.
The ball doesn't go that way. The ball goes back.
There you see, for me at least, when I first watched the angle, I was like,
All right, so here's
and then
Draymond
I had to watch it close
after
up.
the game.
I expect something to change. I got one tech this year because a Ruff yelled at me, and I said, if I yell at you, I'm going to get fined. I think something will change because if that's a tech, then every word you say on the court is a tech. So we'll see.
He should have got a tech.
All right, so Draymond is evidently campaigning for a tech from months ago to be rescinded. To save him.
Do that?
No, of course not. And by the
happening.
way, whether or not this is not getting rescinded, but let's say it did. He's still going to be suspended at some point because the guy can't help himself. He tried to get a tech minutes in to the Suns game. If you guys were watching that game, they were up 15 and he's screaming at people. Guys, at some point, can we all acknowledge that this season he has been a net negative? This season, Draymond Green is one of the reasons the Warriors are struggling.
I'll give you that.
That's all I'm asking.
A net negative?
But here's
Yes.
why.
No.
The punch set a bad tone, obviously, and he admitted it. I would hope, and maybe it's happened, but Draymond needs to go before his teammates and do a serious mea culpa. Just what he said on his podcast.
did that.
Well, on his podcast a couple months ago, he said, look, I haven't been able to be myself. I haven't been able to get on guys the way I used to and hold them accountable because of what happened. You need to talk about that with your teammates.
Well, if you had grown for what about not getting suspended for a critical game? What about that?
Know he can't control himself, honestly. He can't control himself in certain situations.
Well, that's outrageous. That's not a defense.
No, I know. I'm just saying, he just does what he does.
Okay.
If he didn't learn from the 2016 finals, you think he's learning from Game 71 or whatever that was?
But what I am saying is it should add, that is part of the story of this Warriors season. Is their emotional leader started it as poorly as you can start it, and now with a dozen games left, he's going to have to sit out a game because he can't control himself.
I think the Warriors have 9 players available for the Hawks game.
That's not great. Where's that game?
In Atlanta.
Okay, so they're going to lose.
Good news.
okay.
Talking California, so maybe a little bit of a bump, but not much. Steph had 50 points, and
they
it
lost.
wasn't enough.
That was a show.
It's a disaster.
It's their
Wasn't that a show?
9th straight loss on the road.
But that's why it's a problem, Brew. Because Steph was great. Can we give you some context? When Steph's great, how do the Warriors typically do?
Pretty good.
Steph has 62 times in his career has gone for 40 plus. I actually thought it would have been a little more than that, but that's still quite a bit. Prior to this year, they were 48-8. This year, just like they are in all circumstances, they're 500. Brew. Wait, now, guys, can we show? I showed you that with the 6 games they had coming up. I think we can show it to you again. I told you they're going to go 2-4.
You said 2-4? Okay.
Brew, and it looks like they're not going to have Draymond. More on him in a moment for the Hawks game.
What'd I say? At least 3-3.
You said at least 3-3, maybe 4-2. How you feeling now?
Same way.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
4-2?
they got to go. Well, I want to see, absolutely, we got to see some improvement on. Last night doesn't really bother me.
Nothing bothers him.
No, but here's why. They've lost 3 of the last 5 games in which Steph scored 50 or more. So I'm not worried about that. But I got to see improvement on the road. What worries me more is Andrew Wiggins being out. Last night, you watched the game. The offense was great.
Yeah, they allowed
Couldn't get a stop. Yeah. They shot 47% from 3, but so did the Clippers.
You know what they should try to add?
And that's where Andrew Wiggins, I mean, he's a great three-point shooter, too. He's a great offensive player. But defensively, that's where he comes in.
You know what they should go after, Wilds? The self-proclaimed greatest defensive player in the history of basketball. He would help them.
Who are you talking about, Patrick Beverly?
No, Draymond.
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 Yeah.
Self-proclaimed greatest in the history of basketball.
And he's not that, but he is a great defender.
He was.
Historically. He's still important to that team. He's important for that team. But the problem, this is what is scary. Look, if they don't have Wiggins, we know they're not going to win this. It's a fact. If Luka gets hurt and he's not
Luka is hurt and you're breaking me over the coals.
But he's coming back.
Okay.
If Wiggins comes back, then I feel fine about them. And I do want to see
Luka for the Mavs.
No, he's not as good, but I'm just saying it's a top player.
But Brew, can
you
I
need him.
give you the stat? Third best defensive rating at home, third worst on the road. ESPN had the stat. The 12.4 point difference between home and away. It's the worst of any team since the Indianapolis Olympians in 1951-52, which I didn't know was a team.
Yeah.
So, but is that just an intensity thing?
Yeah.
Is that just
look,
they need an emotional leader?
It's hard to get motivated when you got jewelry like that.
Okay,
they got so much
that's
jewelry.
such an excuse.
They got so much. And I hate to keep bringing it back to Wiggins, but
It's not all Wiggins.
But they're good
It's
at
not all
home.
Wiggins. You're right. It's not all Wiggins.
Does Wiggins play the home games?
I'm talking about winning the West.
No,
they need Wiggins.
They might miss the playoffs.
They're not missing the playoffs.
Bruce,
they're the sixth seed right now.
You gave a whole.
I'm telling you, they're not missing the playoffs.
Hold on.
They're gonna miss the playoffs.
You gave a whole dissertation about how in the play-in anything can happen. The
of
Warriors
course. We saw it with
are
them
going
a couple
to
years
fall
ago.
into the play-in.
Okay.
And the idea that they're just a lock, we saw them lose back-to-back in the
Well, when I
play-in.
say playoffs, I mean play into.
Oh, well,
I mean
okay, yes.
because
They're
it's
not
a
going to
playoff
fall
game.
out of to the
They're
11th
going to
spot.
make the postseason.
If they're in the play-in, they're going to lose
Let's
too.
see.
Yeah.
Look,
They're
Well,
gonna
let's
we're
talk-
not
I'm
we're
going to be
champions.
sitting
We
up
don't
here
play
next
that way.
week with sunglasses on because they are going to start winning some games on the road.
All right, save
all
this
I'm
tape.
saying.
Okay.
Save this tape.
Draymond picked up his 16th tech
Yeah.
of the year.
What'd he
After
do?
He bounced the ball off of Russ. Russ came in for a rebound.
It's kind of, you got to, it's hard to catch it. But
It's not hard to catch it.
Catch
He
what?
gets
No,
the
I'm
rebound and he throws it off the guy's face.
No, I'm saying for the viewer, you got to really watch it close. There, you know, from that angle.
The ball doesn't
first
go
angle.
that way. The ball goes back.
There you see, for me at least, when I first watched the angle, I was like,
All right, so here's
and then I had
Draymond
to watch it close
after
up.
the game.
I expect something to change. I got one tech this year because a Ruff yelled at me, and I said, if I yell at you, I'm going to get fined.
Guys, you think I
put
was
out
just making
a-
stuff up? You think can
If you're a
people
reporter
read
now-
the tea leaves on certain things?
Okay, then get a hat that says news on it. Put a
Okay,
little-
I mean,
Not a reporter.
Listen, Joe, I'm not saying Jovan Buha got this from me. Obviously, he did not. He's a reporter on his own. But he gave the exact timeline I gave the audience yesterday. That he's going to be reevaluated a week from today. They're going to give him another week to 10 days after that, and then he'll be available the final 4 or 5 games of the year. That's what I told you yesterday.
Foot expert over
Okay.
here.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Podiatrist.
But go
Nick
ahead.
Wright.
Sorry.
you
Me and
think-
Boomer Esiason both very upset when our reports that we give on television and radio don't get credit.
All right.
That's all.
That's
we're the
referring
same.
to.
But go ahead. Sorry.
In any event, you think it's going to be enough time for him to gear up and be awesome?
I think he'll be fine. I think LeBron will be excellent by the time.
This is a reporter and opinion. Just
This is Brew. Here, I am not worried about LeBron not playing at a high level when he comes back. I am now. I believe both of these things. I believe the Lakers, if they are in the playoffs, are as scary as any team in the West until Durant comes back. I also believe now it's on the board. They're not in the playoffs. Does that
You think they could miss the playoff or the play-in?
I do, of course.
Or are you saying, hold on.